Hi, good evening. Welcome to the 2009 City of Tacoma Park Nominating Caucus. I'm Jessie Carpenter, City Clerk, and I want to make a couple of brief introductions. This is, many of you know, Irma Andia, Assistant City Clerk. This is Ann Sargent, who's Chair of the Tacoma Park Board of Elections. And we have two other board members here. They're working outside, Barry Hoffman and Jane Johnson. So I just want to recognize them. We'll begin the nominations in just a few minutes. I'm going to sit down if you don't mind. We'll begin in just a few minutes, but there are some preliminary matters I'd like to go over. The city charter requires that you elect a resident to serve as secretary of the meeting, who will make a record of the nominations and file the record with me. Ann Sargent, who's a resident of Ward 3 and chair of the Board of Elections, is willing to serve as secretary for the meeting. If there's no objection, would someone make a motion to elect Ann as secretary for this meeting?
Move it.
Is that a second, Mr. Loveless?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so Ann Sargent will serve as secretary for this meeting. I have a few other preliminary matters to let you know about. I wanted to talk about the rules of procedure. The meeting is, of course, open to the public, but participation is limited to eligible voters of the city. If you are nominating or seconding the nomination of a candidate for mayor, you must be a registered voter at an address in the city. If you are nominating or seconding the nomination of a candidate for city council, you must be registered at an address in his or her ward. If you plan to nominate or second the nomination of a candidate, you should have checked in and you should have received a blue confirmation slip. When you approach the podium to speak, you'll hand in that blue confirmation slip to the caucus secretary. Please only use the microphone when you speak. Please only speak at the podium. The caucus is being cablecast on City TV and streamed on the web, and we want to be sure that your statements are heard. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. There's a timer on the podium. The lights will help you keep track of your time. It turns yellow at about 20 seconds, when you have about 20 seconds left. So I'm really hoping that you can all show each other the courtesy of limiting your remarks to 3 minutes. You could say a lot in 3 minutes. So having said that, I'll give you the order of nominations tonight. We'll start with the office of mayor, then Ward 5, Ward 1, Ward 6, Ward 2, Ward 4, and Ward 3. And so now we'll begin. Nominations are open for the office of mayor. Do I hear a nomination for the office of mayor?
I'd like to nominate Bruce Williams.
Okay, if you just come up to the podium.
Hi, Donna Victoria, 1104 Merwood Drive, Ward 6, and I'm here tonight to nominate Bruce Williams for mayor of Tacoma Park. I think a lot of you know that I have been serving as the Ward 6 City Council person for about 3 months, and man, have I learned a lot. And in a good way. I think, like a lot of people, I was a little disheartened by some of the acrimony during the community center building a few years ago, and I checked out for a while. And but when Doug was moving out and we needed somebody to take this interim position and not run again after tonight, I said, that's the job for me. So I've come in and I've been going to meetings, and I have to tell you that spending more time with the staff and the council and the mayor has really made me energized about Tacoma Park again. There are a lot of great people putting in a lot of good time in this building. And chief among them are your council members and Bruce Williams. Bruce is affable in the face of anger, long speeches, whatever comes our way. I think he listens to different viewpoints, and I think that we're going to be facing really tough times. Last night at council, we heard a lot about how Our budget's been cut by the state for this year. It's going to be cut again by the state for this year, and it's going to be cut again next year. Times are hard. I have a lot of confidence that Bruce will work hard to make sure that we are making the best choices in a world where the choices aren't going to be very good for us. And I'd like to encourage others to give of their time. The amount of time I've found that it takes beyond Monday nights to do this job is a lot. Bruce and I have spent hours and hours at planning meetings just on the Tacoma-Langley sector plan, which is one thing that a lot of people are not spending all their time on. And he gives willingly of his time to do these sort of things. And I just encourage everybody else to volunteer, to find places to plug the gaps, because, you know, things the well is going to be fairly dry. And I have a yellow light, so I'm going to obey the time limit and just say that I heartily endorse Bruce Williams continuing as our mayor.
Is there a second to the nomination?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Diane Robinson Berkeley. I live at 7620 Maple Avenue, apartment 440 in Tacoma Park. I've known Mr. Williams for about 3 years now, and to me, he's a good man. You can count on him when you need him. All you have to do is call him, and he'll be there for you. I think the last few years he's made a good mayor, and I think he will continue to become a good mayor and help whoever needs help. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there additional seconds to the nomination of Bruce Williams for mayor?
Dick O'Connor, 7110 Maple Avenue, Tacoma Park. I've lived in Tacoma Park since 1986, and I've known Bruce for 20-some-odd years. I asked him recently why he wanted to be mayor, and he said simply, because I can make a difference. And I think he has made a difference the last 2 years, and I think that difference warrants him returning as mayor for another term. And so I heartily endorse his nomination and ask you to vote for him. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any additional seconds?
I'm Frances Phipps, 7210 Holly Avenue, and I've lived here for 39 years, and I've never engaged in a nominating caucus, but tonight I'm delighted to do so, because as everybody knows, a good man is hard to find. I think we've found him. I'll give you one example. We've been working very hard, and one of the toughest jobs I think a small jurisdiction has is to negotiate with their large institutions. We've not been terribly successful in all our negotiations over the years. But I think in the particular instance of Montgomery College, which is a valued institution, which once needs to expand, which, however, is located in and directly adjacent to one of our most precious historic residential neighborhoods, the negotiations here are particularly delicate. And it takes a great deal of strategy, determination, and diplomacy to bring this home. I'm confident that with Bruce and with Josh and with Jamie, I'm glad to see him here, Tacoma Park will be successful because our neighborhoods are our most precious resource. Then lastly, on a very light note, I'd like to say, you know, I think style matters. I renovated the Katie Lee, so of course I think that, all right? But if anybody thinks about the style of Tacoma Park, they often think, and especially journalists think, early Birkenstock. That's what we are. That's our style. Well, let the word go forth. We have a mayor who looks great in a tux.
Are there any additional seconds?
Hi, I'm Kate Daniels Cohen, 19 Sherman Avenue, Tacoma Park, Maryland. And I've lived in the house or been associated with the house since 1946. So I'm a resident, and my parents were residents since 46. I'm not, everybody else was so elegant. I've got to read this a little bit. I'm honored and thrilled to have the opportunity to second Bruce Williams' nominations for another term as mayor of Tacoma Park, the most fabulous city in the state of Maryland. I second him not only because of his obvious commitment to his community by continuing to step out of the box and run for a second term as mayor, but also for his 7 terms as Ward 3 councilperson. I second him because, as president of the S.S. Carroll Neighborhood Association, I know that I can come to him with any community issue, and he will guide me in a direction, and the problem will be handled. I'm not going to say it's going to be always solved, but it will definitely be handled, and he will make it happen. I second him because I always feel like I have a voice in my government and that I am heard, whether it's from the Citizens Association or as a constituent. I second him for his willingness to be accountable to a city of very active participants. He is always cool under the enthusiastic comments that can often come from such an active community. I second him for his willingness to listen with a keen ear and act without making anyone wrong. I'm proud to live in his city with his leadership, and I'm looking forward to another 2 years filled with excitement and activity. And I thank you all for making this kind of nominating caucus accessible to our community. We sometimes take for granted the transparency that's been afforded to us by our city government. Every community does not have the availability of these types of forums or this government. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any additional seconds to the nomination of Bruce Williams? Okay, no additional seconds. Are there any further nominations for the office of mayor? Please come up.
My name is Tracy Kaufman, and my family and I lived in Tacoma Park since 1996. And we have chosen to stay in Tacoma Park because we love it here. We really do. We love the character of our community, the spirit of our citizens, our great schools, the abundance of opportunities for our kids, and our dedicated public servants, including all of our hard-working elected officials. Nonetheless, and perhaps because of all of this, I believe we can do better. We can do better in Old Town. We can do better for our diverse communities on the edges and within our city. We can do better in our push for a sustainable town. And we can do better in watching our bottom line. With this in mind, I proudly nominate a man with a new outlook and new energy. A man not searching for conflict, but not afraid of it either. A man who can proactively lead our community and not simply react to our most vocal and well-meaning neighbors. Therefore, I am proud to hereby nominate Roger Schlegel to run for the office of Mayor of Tacoma Park. Thank you.
Is there a second to the nomination of Roger Schlegel?
Good evening. My name's Andrew Harris. I'm a resident at 6503 Highland Avenue in Ward 3, and I would like to second the nomination of Roger Schlegel for candidate for mayor. I think this is a very interesting time for the city. Some people have said that we're in a lull, but as one of the earlier speakers told us, and I believe it's true, we're also in a period of very difficult times on the horizon as the state budget collapses and the local budgets have to take up a lot of the slack for that. So at that point, it's very critical who we have as a mayor. And in particular, it's very critical that we have a good discussion of the visions that the mayor or mayoral candidates will have as part of our choice of who the mayor will be. And so for many of the reasons that Ms. Kaufman gave us, but also for the reason that I believe a discussion and a dialogue is important, I second the nomination of Roger Schlegel. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there additional seconds to the nomination?
I'm a little nervous about this one. Yeah, there we go. Terrence Healy from Ward 3. Here he comes. Okay, so I'm Terrence Healy from Ward 3. I have been a resident since 1990. And I have seen Tacoma Park transform in a very lovely way. I have learned to like my community, love the people on my street. I have seen generations come and go, more come than go, thank God. But it has become a warm place that over the years we have decided to totally set our roots in this community. I'm here tonight to second Roger Schlegel. Because of my background and because of my high regard for the city, because of what I've learned from the council, the mayors that have come and gone over the last 20 years, I think that Roger would become a perfect fit for the city council and to work in consensus and in, excuse me, in a combination with all the hard workers within the city and on the committees. He has learned to, as a teacher, he teaches our high school students. He has 2 beautiful children. He has grown on within our community, and he has voiced not only not concerns, but he has voiced interest in making sure that this community does travel down the right path, and in this most difficult time, where corporations, businesses, families are looking at their pocketbook, where they're trying to figure out other ways creatively to manage their situations and their problems. I think that the city also needs to do this, and I think that Roger actually will bring not a fresh look, but a new look. He will open up the minds of the community, both within the ward of Ward 3, but also all of the wards. One of the goals that I've had over the years is to make sure that when we talk about Tacoma Park, we don't talk about just certain areas, but we talk about everybody that's included. And with his background in community service, in city administration, in the school districts, he actually will bring that type of responsibility and that consensus building and become a leader in making sure that this city does move forward. We have a lot of things going on around our city, not necessarily in our city, but around the city. And we have to make sure, in my opinion, we have to make sure that those things actually really do take a prevalence. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there additional seconds? No additional seconds? Are there any additional nominations for the office of mayor? Hi, come on up. Thanks.
Wow. Good evening, everyone. My name is Eric Mendoza. I'm from Ward 4. I've been living in the city of Tacoma Park for over 30 years. I know I look young, but it's because I just shaved. But I would like to nominate a great guy that I met because of a young lady named Bill Ziegler, and his name is Mr. Terry Siemens. And I would love for him to become the mayor of Tacoma Park because I've seen great mayors come through here. And he works so hard to, I know Tacoma Park Maple Avenue was considered one of the worst parts of Tacoma Park. He took Maple Avenue and turned it into something great. And I know right now everybody's saying they're calling it Tacoma Park, and I think he can wake it up and bring it back to life. And he's out for the youth and for the young people, and I support him 100%. Thank y'all.
Is there a second to the nomination of Terry Siemens for mayor?
Hello, everybody. My name is Gladys Harvey, and I'm a resident of Tacoma Park and been here for a long time. Don't watch the black because I'm been here. I raised my kids here. I nominate, second the nomination for Terry Seaman because Mr. Seaman is a beautiful man. He has a big heart, and he helps a lot of people in Tacoma Park, mostly the elder people, the children. He makes sure that some of the people, the younger people, finish school, finish college. He makes sure that the people eat, because I work closely with him and his beautiful wife and his family, and we go up and down the street and we carry the people the food, and he helps a lot. And I think that he would make a very, very good mayor because he cares. And I just want to say he's a great guy. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we need to take a quick pause to, I'm worried about the microphone, do we need to pause to deal with the microphone? Yeah, we should. Okay, we'll just take a brief pause here. Because I know we can hear everyone speaking, but the voices won't go out on TV or on the web. Indeed. I'm going to need that gavel to get people back to order. Hey, good for you. At the point of looking for additional seconds to the nomination of Terry Siemens for mayor, are there additional seconds? There are no additional seconds to the nomination of Terry Siemens for mayor. Are there any additional nominations for the office of mayor? Any additional nominations? All right. If there are no further nominations, I'd like to call for a motion to close the nominations for the office of mayor. Is there a motion to close the nominations? Is there a second? Second. Okay. It was Pam Larson and Terrell. All in favor of closing the nominations for the office of mayor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The nominations for the office of mayor are now closed. So we'll move on to Ward 5. Nominations are now in order for one council member from Ward 5. Do I hear a nomination for the office of council member for Ward 5? Can you come up, please? Yes. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Frank Emery at 8006 Maple Avenue with my wife Barbara Shuttleworth. We raised our two children, Alex and Stephen, there. and I'm nominating our current city council member, a man that I know very well for the last 12 years, Reuben Snipper, to continue as the council member for Ward 5, the north end of town. Reuben's lived with his family in Tacoma Park for 24 years, has been an active participant in the community, a leader on a number of quality of life issues for us in Ward 5, smart growth and use issues with regard to Adventist Hospital, environmental quality and safety issues in Sligo Creek, strong support for sustainable and affordable housing, and improved public transportation, along with adequate youth programs. We're big fans of Reuben in our neighborhood. We know him very well as very active, holding community meetings, always has an answer for any question we have. If he doesn't have an answer, he will get us an answer. We focus on the Purple Line, safety issues, quality of life issues, and as a representative of our community, I can say we very much need Reuben to continue in his service, and so I nominate Reuben Snipper for Ward 5 Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second to the nomination of Reuben Snipper for Ward 5?
My name is Marty Iginor, and I live at 7902 Flower Avenue in Ward 5. I'm also a section steward for Section 2 of Sligo, Friends of Sligo Creek, and I'm happy and honored to second the nomination of my friend and neighbor, Reuben Snipper. Thank you.
Are there any additional seconds to the nomination of Reuben Snipper? Hearing no additional seconds, are there additional nominations for the office of council member for Ward 5? Any additional nominations? Hearing none, is there a motion to close the nominations for Ward 5 city council member? Is there a second? All in favor to closing the Ward 5 city council nominations? Aye. Any opposed? So the motion carries. The Ward 5 council nominations are closed. Now we'll move on to Ward 1. Nominations are now in order for council member from Ward 1. Do I hear a nomination for Ward 1 City Council? Please come forward. Good to see you.
Distinguished fellow citizens of Tacoma Park, and Mayor Williams, and Mayor Porter, and Mayor Sharp, I even saw for a second. The distinguished councilman for Ward 1, Josh Wright, really needs no introduction. That did not keep his staff from faxing me this 5-page resume. But it's a great pleasure and an honor to get to nominate Josh. You know, our last great Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, spoke of government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And in Tacoma Park, we are blessed actually to have that. We don't have a big bureaucracy and a big distance between the people and the government. And so all of it really depends on the quality of the people we put into office. And it's a thrill that we've got such great people who are willing to give their time and their service and their energy to our city. And I'm just so thrilled that Josh Wright is my city councilman. I've been thinking about Teddy Kennedy and the public option, and not the public health option, but the option of making your life a public thing rather than a private thing. And Josh Wright has had every possibility to lead a completely private life, but he's devoted himself to public things. And in fact, the word republic comes from the Latin res publica, which means the public thing. And Josh Wright is somebody who's devoted himself to us. And not just is he a hardworking and always available city councilman, he's the director of social enterprise programs at the Center for Community Change. He's a community organizer. And he's done extraordinary things in his time, in his first term in office. He has moved the city's purchase of a 100% wind power for all electrical needs in the city. He's continued the revitalization of Old Town. He's fought to get reasonable, sane development at the Metro site and on the Montgomery College campus, and I've been really honored to work with him and Francis and others here on that issue. He got a resolution passed here in the Tacoma Park City Council to push the state to pass an anti-spying bill after the state police decided to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars of our money spying on us at the Electric Maid as well as other places. That's where one of my campaign offices was, so I think I got spied on. And then after that resolution passed, we were able to get very tough anti-spying law passed at the state level, and I really salute Josh for working with me on that. And you know, Tacoma Park is the birthplace of great leaders, and Josh Wright is one of them, and I'm really proud to have him as my councilman, and I nominate him for re-election.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there a second to the nomination of Josh Wright?
Good evening, neighbors. My name is Christine Simpson. I live at 7300 Cedar Avenue in Ward 1. I'm happy to second Jamie Raskin's nomination of Josh Wright for the position of City Council person representing Ward 1 in the upcoming municipal election. I second everything Jamie said, but I have a few things I'd like to add. Many of you know that I have been concerned and involved in the issue about the proposed development at the Tacoma Metro Station, believing that it will have a negative impact on residents, clogging our roads and making the station less accessible for transit purposes. Josh has taken an active interest in this issue, attending many meetings with residents, Metro officials, representatives of the developer, and numerous public officials like DC's councilperson Muriel Bowser and our own Congressman Chris Van Hollen. Josh has insisted that we Marylanders be heard on this issue, even though some have argued that we have no standing because the station is located in the district. Never mind that it is across the street from our neighborhood and the development will have a significant impact on city residents. He has shown a civility and willingness to listen, coupled with a firm determination to explain why the plan is fatally flawed. I believe his leadership on this issue has benefited not just Ward 1, but the entire city. On a smaller scale, Josh has, I think seemingly willingly, met with me several times in connection with personal efforts that I have undertaken to encourage certain commercial property owners to maintain and enhance their properties. He and I have not yet figured out how to get the Bank of America to agree to do some simple plantings in their driveway on Willow Avenue, but we've tried, and I'm looking forward to working with him on this project in his second term. I heartily second the nomination of Josh Wright for the Ward 1 City Council seat.
Thank you. Are there additional seconds to the nomination of Josh Wright?
Hi, my name is Barbara Cosgrove. I live at 409 Philadelphia Avenue in Tacoma Park, and I'm happy to second the nomination for Josh Wright for Ward 1. I've been involved with Josh Wright with regards to the Montgomery County boundary study for the Tacoma Park Elementary School, Piney Branch Elementary School, and the Tacoma Park Middle School. This issue is not exactly a city council issue, but more a Montgomery County Board of Education issue. But Josh nonetheless stepped up and got very involved with this issue. He's attended many community and neighborhood meetings to really get a full understanding of what's going on with this issue. He also sat amongst my North Tacoma neighbors at meetings, helping us feel that we had his support when dealing with county representatives. He's also introduced a resolution to the City Council, which was revised and passed to our satisfaction. He has been a very, very receptive and thoughtful representative in our community. He's offered insightful advice. He's been a very calm presence, especially when these discussions get heated. And he's been very focused on what's important with these issues. Most importantly, he's returned our calls and emails, which I joke, but it really shows how accessible he is to us. Josh has been an excellent representative to Ward 1, and I fully support his nomination for Ward 1 to the City Council.
Thank you. Are there additional seconds to the nomination of Josh Wright?
Hi, I'm Pam Larson. My husband, Art Isaacs, and I have lived at 220 Grant Avenue, just neighbors to this building, for 16 years now. We've been well represented in Ward 1, but once Josh came into our lives as our representative, we realized how important it is to share the activism we have in government and in our lives with a guy with such a commitment. I think I'm speaking for all my neighbors we call ourselves Hodges Bottom, those of us near here, because we have a lot of issues with keeping our neighborhood as much fun as the neighborhood that we bought into, and Josh really shares that and helps us with that. We really share his vision. When he and I were talking about this, he mentioned that he believes that our community and society should be strong, vibrant, and supportive to all. And that's really something that probably everyone in this room shares. But for a few examples here, on the strong part, certainly the way you're willing to help us understand how to work with county government has just been vital to us. With the 3 schools surrounding our neighborhood, the infamous swimming pool, and the park right here, those are all wonderful potential amenities as long as the county agrees with what we see and what Josh sees in that. And we really appreciate the time you put in helping us get our views across to the county there. On the vibrant side, Josh has been with us through our wonderful, diverse neighborhood, our Azalea Awards, our Folk Festival, and we really appreciate that he appreciates what those festivals bring to bring us all together. And supportive to all, I'm proudly on the board of the Tacoma Foundation, and Josh has been, I think, behind every one of our initiatives and sees the importance and supports it not only through his time but through his own personal generosity. And for that reason, I'm very proud to second the nomination of Josh Wright, and thank you all.
Thank you. Are there additional seconds to the nomination of Josh Wright? Any additional seconds? Okay, are there any further nominations for the office of council member for Ward 1? Any additional nominations? Do I hear a motion to close the nominations for Ward 1 City Council?
So moved.
Is there? Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The nominations for Ward 1 City Council are now closed. Now we move on to Ward 6. Nominations are now in order for one council member from Ward 6. Do I hear a nomination for Ward 6 City Council member? Come on up.
Good evening. I'm Mark Wurzbacher. I live at 7305 Wildwood Drive, where I've resided since 1990. I'm here tonight to nominate my friend and neighbor, Frederick, we call him Fritz Schultz, to serve on the Tacoma Park City Council as the rep for Ward 6. Fritz lives with his wife, Nancy, 3 doors up from me. When I moved there into the neighborhood, I met him 3 months after I got there at my first New Hampshire Garden Citizens Association meeting. I was just looking at my folder tonight. I still got his business card, which was 7 or 8 employers ago. What's impressed me is every meeting I go to, Fritz and Nancy are always there. And that's the major first reason I'm supporting him, is that he's a practicing proponent of citizen advocacy and activism, which is certainly in keeping with Tacoma Park. One of the reasons I'm here, and it's especially important in Ward 6, where we have a rather diverse group of residents and some rather challenging and unique commercial and residential development issues to address. And Fritz has a unique set of skills for doing that. He's been working on some of this stuff. In addition to the 23 years of being active in the Citizens Association, he serves on the Tacoma Park Public Safety Citizen Committee for 4 years now, and the Purple Line Master Plan Advisory Committee for 2 years now. But he also knows government from the inside out. He worked for the city of Baltimore for 8 years in development in the inner cities in Baltimore, and serving on their regional planning council, and also worked 11 years for the Arlington County Economic Development Department, where he was involved in leading a number of private public development projects that were successful there. And he also knows business, as that would indicate, as he has been in commercial lending, small business specialization for 15 years before he semi-retired, and still does consulting in that area. So he's uniquely qualified to represent the people of Ward 6, and in helping to identify, clarify, and address the many issues we've got in our ward and in the city. And that's why I'm nominating him for the City Council and encouraging everyone to vote, and if you're from Ward 6, to vote for Fritz. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second to the nomination of Frederick Schultz for Ward 6 City Council?
Hello, I'm Ansari Mott. I live at 7304 Wildwood Drive, and I've been there since 1987. I would like to second the nomination for Fred Schultz, a.k.a. Fritz, that's all you need to know, for the Ward 6 council seat. Well, we've been neighbors for 22 years, and I couldn't ask for a better neighbor and friend. Fritz really has the scoop. He's the one that goes out and finds out what's going on as soon as we hear it. That screeching that comes down New Hampshire Avenue, and then that kapow that you hear at Merwood and Glenside. If it's a weekend, he's out there, and he's walking around finding out what's going on so he can tell the rest of us. But not really just to nose around and rubberneck, but he really wants to find out how he can help. And also, not to mention the half-dozen fire trucks over at the New Hampshire towers. He kind of goes and peeks around to see what's going on, see if there's really flames going on, or if it's another child that has pulled the fire alarm. I remember a couple of years ago, there was a very noisy party somewhere on the New Hampshire Avenue Annex Road. And yes, it was past 11. It was midnight. It was 1 a.m. I made a couple of calls to the Tacoma Park Police, but they couldn't find out where it was a horrendous party. It sounded great, but I wanted to go to sleep. So I find out the next day, Fritz set out in his pajamas in the middle of the night to find out the source of this party. I've forgotten what actually happened, because I think finally, just out of exhaustion, I think I fell asleep. But I remember he was telling the story that he was out there in the middle of the night with his pajamas, and he found the source of where this party was. So here I am. I can visualize him in his pajamas at some stranger's house, and I can vision him speaking very diplomatically to these people to try and quiet down. I don't know if it ever happened, but finally by 3 a.m. all was quiet. But I think Fritz really cares, and I think he'll be a great council person. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there additional seconds to the nomination of Fred Schultz? Come on up.
I think that party was at our house, Sari. Just kidding. Thom Huizinga, a 10-year resident at 7313 Wildwood, which is conveniently located right next to Fritz and Nancy Schultz's house. And as Sari mentioned, you couldn't ask for better neighbors, but I think Fritz is actually something much more than that. Living in Tacoma Park for almost 25 years, I think Fritz has not only a passion for, but he really understands many of the issues that are important to us in Ward 6. familiar issues to many of us in Tacoma Park, and they are crime, traffic, and in our particular instance, the development possibilities for the New Hampshire, Langley areas. And what will become increasingly important is city economics and how we're spending the very few dollars that we actually have to spend these days. So I think Fritz, from his background, really understands these issues. That's one thing, but another thing is you have to do something about them. And with a background in finance and small business and economic development, I think that Fritz is supremely qualified to be a really great leader in our ward. We need a lot of help. It's often called the ward that's forgotten, and I think that Fritz will do a fantastic job, and I am proud and honored to nominate him for the council seat. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there additional seconds to the nomination of Fred Schultz for Ward 6 City Council?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Barry Howard. I live at 7607 Wildwood Drive. I'm fairly new to the neighborhood. I've been around for 2 years. I'm not adjacent to Fritz's property, and I haven't known him for 2 decades, but I'm here to second the nomination of Fred Schultz, because we recently had a conversation, and he shared with me how he's witnessed and played a role in the transformation of the ward, the neighborhood over the last 2 decades. And he also, what was more important to me, is he shared his vision of how to build community and galvanize citizen activism and organization for the betterment of all of our neighbors. So I'm here to throw in my name in the hat as a second nominator to help Fred realize that vision of the future that will carry us through the next 2 years. As we work through, as some of my neighbors have mentioned, some of the more serious issues of traffic, crime, development, school zoning, and so on. His proven experience in community organizing, urban planning, small business development, and a strong commitment to serve others for the benefit of all struck me, and that's why I'm here tonight. And so I won't go on about that, but I think that Fritz is the man to carry forward the torch of leadership left to us in Ward 6 by Doug Barry on his departure, and I'm happy to nominate him. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there additional seconds to the nomination of Fred Schultz for Ward 6 City Council?
Hi, I'm Valeska Hill, and I'm also a resident at 7313 Wildwood Drive. Many of my neighbors here today, and I have to second what they said in support of Fritz and our other neighbor, Nancy. There's not much that I have to add, and I'm sorry I'm getting over a bad cold, so please bear with me. But we've known Fritz and Nancy for 10 years that we've lived there in that neighborhood. We're very happy and pleased, and I have to say that Fritz really grasps the issues. He offers suggestions and solutions. He really has the experience and expertise and a really good dose of passion to do something about everything that's going on. I'm really convinced that Fritz will be an effective member of the council and that he will represent the special needs of Ward 6 very well, especially with our, as somebody said, unique, diverse background. So I'm very happy to also second the nomination of Fred Schultz for representative of Ward 6.
Thank you. Are there any additional seconds to the nomination of Fred Schultz? No additional seconds. Are there additional nominations for candidate for Ward 6 City Council?
Good evening. My name is Crystal Phillips. I live at 1100 Linden Avenue. I've been here since 2000, and until I moved to Tacoma Park, I wasn't politically active. I voted, but that was it. And the city really encourages people to get involved, which I have. The mention of Ward 6 being the forgotten ward, well, we're the forgotten part of the forgotten ward. We had no service from our council person. I met him once when he came to first run, and I never saw him again. We invited him to tenant meetings. We invited him to participate. We went to city council to ask for services. We were getting hit left and right with crime, people breaking into the apartments that we live in. We got no response. It took us 5 years to get 2 light poles on the city side of our street. And this was after many of our tenants had been robbed. So I am putting into nomination the name of Naveed Nasser Esfahani. Naveed has been at our property for about 4 years. He is a fine young man. He is involved politically. He knows his stuff. Every time I talk to him, I find out more things about what's happening in Tacoma Park. I'm 60 years old, and he's telling me things that I never heard of. So, and I thought I was a pretty knowledgeable person. I believe in him. I believe in his candidacy. I believe in his platform. And I hope that you will consider him for Council of Ward 6 so that the forgotten part of Ward 6 doesn't get underrepresented. We are renters, but we vote, and we need someone who is going to stand up for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second to the nomination of Naveed Nasser for Ward 6 City Council?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ruthie Carroll. I'm at 1212 Myrtle Avenue, and I've lived in Tacoma Park since 1977. And I've raised my children here. I am 50 years old, and I'm here to second the nomination for Naveed Nasser as his next-door neighbor. I can second everything that Crystal just said about Nasser, but as his next-door neighbor, I can also tell you about the things that I see when he doesn't know. As his next-door neighbor, I am watching. Like his relationship with his parents and the elders in our community, his sincerity and his willingness to listen, his passion for the issues that are pressing us. It was a year after I moved in that a body was found in the wooded area that surrounds our complex. And I was awakened to a lot of what needs to happen in Ward 6 and why it is the forgotten part of the forgotten ward. And I am looking for the energy and the activism, the sincerity, and the creativity that is going to keep that wonderful reputation that we have as a progressive city alive. And I believe Nasser is the one, Naveed Nasser is the one that can represent Ward 6 and bring us back to the forefront in Tacoma Park as our council person. So thank you for this opportunity to speak on his behalf.
Thank you. Are there any additional seconds to the nomination of Naveed Nasser for Ward 6 City Council? Are there any additional nominations for Ward 6 City Council seat? Any additional nominations? Hearing none, is there a motion to close the nominations for Ward 6 City Council? So moved. Second? Second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, Ward 6 City Council nominations are closed. Now we'll move on to Ward 2. Do I hear a nomination for the office of council member for Ward 2?
Hi, I'm Sophie Richardson. I live at 703 Elm and have been a profoundly relieved resident of Ward 2 for about 3 years now. And it is my pleasure and my honor to nominate a woman I think of as being the epitome of community service and leadership, Colleen Clay, who's also become a good friend. I've had the opportunity not just to speak to Colleen about local affairs that I find either baffling or public policies that don't make sense to me, but also watch her spend an enormous amount of time doing things like looking after people in the community who've been victims of crime, who need particular kinds of assistance, to just showing enthusiasm for local community gatherings like the 4th of July parade and the Folk Festival. I think Colleen is a terrific role model. I think her professional existence working in the federal government really buttresses her understanding of the local government and how to make it work better for the residents of our neighborhood, and I couldn't possibly ask for a better representative in our ward. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there a second to the nomination of Colleen Clay for Ward 2 City Council seat?
Good evening. I'm Kevin Adler, and I live at 822 Larch Avenue, and I've lived in Tacoma Park since 1990. I'm here to second the nomination of Colleen Clay, who I first knew as a neighbor and as a parent of kids who played with my kids. And now for the last couple of years, I've known her as a council member who's really has helped me with the Tacoma Park events and causes that I care about. And I've seen just a wonderful combination of level-headedness and passion, and you usually don't see that in both those things in one person. And as I'm sitting here tonight and I hear people talk about the challenges that Tacoma Park faces at large and then also within their wards, I kept thinking about Colleen's ability to see things clearly and to get to a solution, and this sort of Wikipedia-sized set of resources she seems to have at her fingertips when you have a problem. And so I feel even more strongly now that her leadership is the kind of thing that we'll really need on the City Council in these next 2 years. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any additional seconds to the nomination of Colleen Clay for Ward 2 City Council? No additional seconds. Are there any additional nominations for Ward 2 City Council? Okay. Do I hear a motion to close nominations for Ward 2 City Council? Second? Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nominations for Ward 2 City Council seat are now closed. Now we move on to Ward 4. Is there a nomination for Ward 4 City Council?
Yes. My name is Patty Loveless, 7620 Maple Avenue, Tacoma Park, Ward 4, Franklin Apartments. I would like to, from the bottom of my heart, show my gratitude for the help from a person I got, which is Terry Siemens. I want to nominate him for Councilman Ward 4. Now, I've known him for several years. He's helped me get around. He's helped me survive. He brings my food up to my apartment from the Manna food package. And he also has come to visit me in the hospital when I was having my open heart surgery and when I had pneumonia several times. And he's actually gone out of his way to help me get down to the council meetings. And sometimes when I was too ill to make it to the council meeting, many a time he's come out and let people know who I was. He'd announced, that, well, Tacoma Park's peace delegate says hello to everybody. He couldn't make it because of his back's acting up or whatever. And I appreciate that very much. And he's shown to me that he's more than just a councilman. He is my brother. He's like a brother to me. He's done stuff for me that my own family would not have done. And also, if you people realize we have a bad economy now, if you want to get a good deal, as a voter, you want to get a really good deal, we need to keep Terry Siemens in the city council because you're getting two for the price of one. His wife Joyce, is also helping this city out very much. You know, so they both are serving the people, like it says right on my shirt here. You know, and they are both serving the people, and we got to remember that. She helps the people at Franklin Apartments. She helps with the birthdays and stuff, and she's keeps people in mind, and she's very, very supportive. And we got to remember that. So you're getting two for the price of one, and you don't get that very much in an economy like today. So we got to remember that. And also, they helped me get around a lot. They helped me even sometimes. They get me down to the folk festivals and stuff. They even have to help me get that big peace symbol of mine down. At one time, I used to carry that on my back. But lately, I haven't been able to do that because of a rapidly progressing condition I got. And they have not turned their back on me. You know, they realized what happened. I was fighting racism and almost got killed. But and they've really supported me, and that is what Tacoma Park is all about: supporting one another, sticking up for one another, and showing people that they are not just politicians, that they're serving the people, and we got to remember that. So, I proudly nominate Terry Siemens as councilman for Ward 4, and I want to see the entire ward come out and vote for them. And show them their gratitude for them and what they've done for our city and what they will continue to do for my city. Thank you very much.
Is there a second to the nomination of Terry Siemens for Ward 4 City Council seat?
Oh, Pat. Hi, good evening. My name is Tabeb Wasafa. I live at 777 Maple Avenue. I've lived here for the last 7 years. I'm a father of 2 kids. Yared, my first, and 10 years old, and my second child, Helena, who's 7. I love Tacoma Park dearly. $1 million will never get me out. Why? Because of that passion. We all, the residents of Tacoma Park, share for progressive ideas, the commitment that we have for common goals. And this is a very unique place. And in fact, I think I've lived in a lot of places. This is going to be the last one. I'm going to raise my kids. I'm going to contribute to the city. I'm also, as much as I'm a proud resident of Tacoma Park, I'm also a proud member of the Tacoma Foundation. I just want to leave it at that. But next to that, I've known Terry Siemens for the last 7 years. They call me a community activist. I am one at my own convenience when I have the time, when I have the resources. But Terry is a servant of the people 24/7. You know why I know? He calls me up. Do we have time to deliver food, to help me deliver food? I do it. I mean, I don't know where he gets the energy. Sometimes he inspires me. Sometimes I wonder where he gets that passion going 24/7. He's a good friend. He inspires me a lot. And I would like to see a lot more of that energy all over Tacoma Park. So it gives me a very deeply, heartily felt civic duty to come out here and tell you I live for passions like Terry, and I want to see it going. And Ward 4 is a very difficult place. It's misrepresented, underrepresented. It requires a lot of energy because we have a lot of, Terry and I, we've done a need assessment a while back. The need assessment of the resident of Ward 4 is quite heavy. And it takes a passionate servant of the people with a lot of vision, dedication, and energy to fulfill, to sit into that position. So I admire that. I admire that in him. In fact, for the July 4th parade, I don't know if you've seen me, we made a rickshaw, and I was sitting with my African outfit. Terry's in his tuxedo. He pulled me the whole route. As I was shouting, servant of the people, And that's a very symbolical statement because politics has been corrupted. Jamie said a remarkable thing. Government of the people for the people has been kidnapped. It's a rare jewel to see energies like Terry. And so it's a great pleasure for me to second the nomination. I feel very proud, and I want to see a whole lot more Terry. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there additional seconds?
Good evening and praise the Lord to each and every one of you. My name is Melvina Carter and I live at 7620 Maple Avenue, Tacoma Park, Maryland. And this is my hometown. I've been here 71 years and praise the Lord for that. You know, I was listening to everyone else saying how long they've been here, but I thank God for you anyway. But I want to say something about Terry. You know, I'm the type of person, I don't say a whole lot. I watch people. And I watch how this man encounter with people. He is full of compassion and have a wife that stands beside him. And I've been knowing her for many, many, many years. And I thank God for you, Terry. And I hope and pray that you stay at Ward 4 as a councilman. And I really mean it from the depth of my heart. And I'm going to pray for each and every one of you because that's the only way we're going to get through is with prayer from God. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone else wish to second the nomination?
Good evening. My name is Susan Leach. I live in 7620 Maple Avenue, Tacoma Park. And I want to second this nomination for Mr. Terry Simmons. He is an incredible man. He does so much for us in Franklin apartment. When I go to live in that building, I look at these people, I say, what is these people? This man is so helpful to everybody. Everybody, you can call on Terry anytime. He's there for you. And I want to thank him from the bottom of my heart because when I moved into Tacoma Park, I didn't know no one or was never active in community work. He's the first person that introduced me to Impact Silver Spring. Then I'm on the 4th of July committee, Washington Adventist Hospital Committee. I'm on the Silver Fox Advisory Group Committee. And I want to thank him for that because, you know, I gain a lot of knowledge. And I gain how to interact with people. I mightn't be perfect, but through him, I learn a lot. And not forgetting his wife, Joyce. Oh, my Lord. Yes, you can count on her. Anything. I remember one night when they had the fireworks, I was wondering, what's this noise about? And I called. I said, Joyce, what is going on? She said, oh, Miss Susan, it's the fireworks with the kids on the road. And I thank them for that. And then he's trying with the youths on the road to keep them off the road. He's trying to do little activities for them and all of that. But not only for myself, but all the rest of senior citizens in Franklin apartment that couldn't make it to come out. I want to say on behalf of everybody, we would like to see Mr. Terry Simmons back there, Ward 4, because he's a wonderful person from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone else wish to second the nomination of Terry Simmons?
I'm Norman Ridgway, 7620 Maple Avenue. I've been here since 91. Terry, he gets me involved in most anything goes on. I'm right there with him. And I can't say no more.
Thank you. Are there any additional seconds?
Good evening again. My name is Diane Robinson Berkeley. I second the nomination for Terry Seaman. He is a good man, and as the ones before me told you, when I moved here, I met Terry and Joyce. I got involved in just about everything that they were involved in, and to me, they're good people. You don't have to sit around because there's always something that you can do. I've been with Joyce on delivering manna food. I've been with Terry at different meetings that we had to go to, and I believe the people in Ward 4 are very lucky to have him as a congressman. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional seconds to the nomination of Terry Seamans for Ward 4 City Council? Any additional seconds? Hearing none, are there any additional nominations for City Council for Ward 4?
Good evening. My name is Brian Williams. I've been here in Tacoma Park for 30 years, about 30 years. Yes, I'm 33. So. I would like to nominate Eric Mendoza for Ward 4, one of Terry Seaman's young proteges, which I've known pretty much all my life. What I can tell you about Eric is he's dedicated to Tacoma Park. He's been here with me since day one. We've walked every street in Tacoma Park. We know every corner of Tacoma Park. He's helped out in the rec department. He's been involved with the rec department since Tacoma Park Elementary School, running the turkey trot, and all the basketball camps, Yes League. Eric just coached the championship basketball game that we had here in Tacoma Park at over at Piney Branch Elementary School. I believe he's a excellent role model for these young kids. A lot of these young kids look at him as his peer, not as an adult who's, trying to impose a certain will on them. And they listen to him. They feed off that. They say, hey, look at this guy. He's somebody, he represents me. And I can adhere to that. I can listen to that. And I don't feel like there's too many people out there like that for our generation. I know when I was growing up in Tacoma Park, I didn't really know too much about what was going on in, the council and things like that. And I think, having somebody like this in my life, Eric, getting involved in this is a blessing to me. I'm getting a chance to learn. I'm getting a chance to become more involved in Tacoma Park. And I believe that, I truly believe in our democracy, and Terry needs some competition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there a second to the nomination of Eric Mendoza for Ward 4 City Council seat? Is there a second to the nomination of Eric Mendoza for Ward 4 City Council seat? Well, if there's no second, is there a second? You can do it.
I don't have a card. Do I need to get her?
No, we know you. I know you. We'll get the information afterwards. It's okay.
My name is Bruce Baker. I live at 7724 Maple Avenue in Ward 4. I'm here because I believe in democracy and I believe in open discussion, and I am glad to see that there's somebody here who wants to step forward and put themselves into this limelight to run for public office. Eric Mendoza is offering to do that for us in Ward 4, and I don't know him well. I'm looking forward to getting to know him, but I'm happy to second his nomination to be Ward 4 City Council.
Are there any additional seconds? Are there any additional nominations for the office of City Council, Ward 4? Do I hear a motion to close nominations for Ward 4 City Council? Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Those nominations are closed. Now, finally, Ward 3. Do I hear a nomination for Ward 3 City Council?
Good evening. My name is Bob Griffith. I live on 108 Grant Avenue on Ward 3. I'm a resident of Ward 3 and a registered voter. And I rise to nominate Dan Robinson for council member for Ward 3. Dan's a native Washingtonian. He's been a resident of Tacoma Park, what seems to me for a long time, but after hearing the gentlewoman earlier, he's a relative newcomer. He's only been here 25 years. He attended the University of California, Davis, studying economics, and later Catholic University, studying law and city and regional planning. He's a husband and father. He's a one-time sound technician and surfer dude who in his youth worked as a sound designer for the Magic Theater in San Francisco. I thought that was the most interesting point in his resume. He's a computer consultant and entrepreneur who founded his own company and then 20 years later sold it to his employees. He's a musician who sometimes performs at Savory and at other venues. But I think most importantly for our purposes tonight, he's a public citizen, an individual with a very long and distinguished commitment to our city. And in a sense, I think it's that kind of service that we're rightly proud of and that makes our community distinctive. No simple listing captures the breadth or depth of Dan's service to our city, but let me name just a few, and because it's a list, I'm going to read it. He was a co-founder and general manager of the Tacoma Voice. He's been a coordinator of 2 Tacoma Park Street Festivals. He was co-founder and first president of the Tacoma Foundation. He served as president and co-chair of the S.S. Carroll Neighborhood Association. He's been a member of the Tacoma Park Independence Committee, and I should add an active participant in many of its annual celebrations, most recently joined by his daughter and friends, rode a conference bike in the 4th of July parade. You probably saw that trundling along, an amazing contraption. He was a co-founder of the last Tacoma Junction Committee and a board member of the Tacoma Community Development Corporation. He chaired Tacoma Park 2010, which helped develop the city's strategic plan and allocate community development block grants. He's been an active and responsible member of this city council for the past 2 years. He's an outstanding candidate to serve the council as it confronts the powerful challenges that I guess what we're calling the Great Recession now brings upon us. It's with genuine pleasure that I place Dan's name in nomination, and I hope that he will accept this nomination and continue to serve our city wonderfully as he has in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second to the nomination of Dan Robinson?
I'm back. It's Kay Daniels Cohen, 19 Sherman Avenue, Tacoma Park, Maryland. And I'm here as president of the S.S. Carroll Neighborhood Association to second the nomination of Dan Robinson, our favorite son, for Ward 3 councilperson. I have an impressive list of many of his life accomplishments and his work accomplishments, but in view of the amount of time we've taken, I'm just going to throw those away. He is the king of green, and he's supported many environmental issues that have been before the council during the past 2 years and in his life before he was a council member. He's currently involved in setting up the task force on environmental action. He is a true bean counter and not afraid to ask the tough questions of anyone coming before the council to testify for their own agenda. I've experienced this firsthand, as I've been one of those with an agenda several times. I appreciate his ability to go in for the innuendo or the little teeny details. It's wonderful. He's an important member of the S.S. Carroll Neighborhood Association, not only as our council person, but also as our favorite son and a Grant Avenue resident. He's not missed a meeting since the association was raised from the computer to an actual people-to-people group. It's a long existing association, and it got into computerese, and now it's into people and computer. He said when he ran before that he would provide solid constituent service. Whew, that's hard to say. And based on his attendance at all 8 of the, I think there are 8 active neighborhood associations, there may be more, in Ward 3, he has totally supported his constituency. He was also able to produce an all-neighborhood association meeting, which proved to be an interesting mix of personalities. And mostly because I'm seconding him mostly because he was the one person I called to inform him of the 8-foot waves running at Ocean City during our recent Hurricane Bill passing in the Atlantic. He is indeed a surfer dude. I'm honored and proud to have this opportunity to second his nomination, and I'm looking forward to another 2 years of great green issues, a bunch of bean counting, and more support for his constituency. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there additional seconds to the nomination of Dan Robinson? Do you want to come up?
Evening, everyone. I'm Aaron Cohen. I'm at 107 Grant Avenue, just up the street, Dan's neighbor. And I've got to say, the man's a solid citizen, and he's an excellent councilman and a pretty darn good neighbor, too. I proudly second his nomination for re-election in Ward 3 for 2 reasons. 1, solid constituent service from the minute he set foot in the door of the council. And 2, with an eye to some of the more pressing problems of our city and how we relate to the rest of the country. I'll tick off a couple of things on constituent service. Dan has worked tirelessly to help repair, replace, return, potholes, gets parking signs, get street signs put in, street lights put up, traffic calming devices where those are needed, even if there's a lost pet. He's played a role in that. If you like the Piney Branch pool right next door, Dan played a role in giving us a place to swim in the wintertime, which is important to a lot of people who live here. He's also pushed successfully for a workable reduction in our taxes, which we certainly could use, and set up a community garden in the Pinecrest neighborhood. And finally, Dan's pressed the city manager to consider off-leash dog use over at Ed Wilhelm Park, just over here. And as a dog owner, I appreciate that. The previous speaker said something about Dan being a bean counter. Well, good, because we want to keep some more of our beans, and we need a guy like that keeping an eye on things. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there additional seconds to the nomination of Dan Robinson? So hearing none, are there any additional nominations for City Council from Ward 4? No, sorry, Ward 3. Anyone else nominating a candidate for Ward 3 City Council? So hearing none, is there a motion to close nominations for Ward 3? That sounds like a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. A couple of bits of business. We have one candidate who has received nominations for 2 offices, for mayor and for Ward 4 City Council, and a candidate can only, of course, accept 1 nomination, and I was hoping that Mr. Siemens may want to provide this group his decision so that we can leave this room knowing who the candidates are. Is Mr. Siemens?
I thought there was a time frame in which
Well,
you could decline an office.
that's true. You have until 5 o'clock Friday to decline nomination for one office, but in my opinion, and it's not up to me, it's up to this group, just in my opinion, it might be useful for people to leave this room knowing who the candidates were, but it was just a suggestion on my part.
I don't think I'll be able to do that tonight because I have to talk with my advisors and my family and make a decision.
All right. Okay, so you have until 5 o'clock.
It's different than it was when I came into the room. So.
Sure. You have until, all candidates have until 5 o'clock this Friday to decline nomination. If I don't receive a declination, then the name will be on the ballot, except for Mr. Siemens, who, of course, will be declining one. A couple of other real quick announcements. Let me go through the nominations that were made tonight. Your candidates for mayor are Bruce Williams, Roger Schlegel, and Terry Siemens. Those three were nominated for the office of mayor. For Ward 5, Reuben Snipper. For Ward 1, Josh Wright. Ward 6, Frederick Schultz, Naveed Nasser. For Ward 2, Colleen Clay. For Ward 4, Terry Siemens, Eric Mendoza. And for Ward 3, Dan Robinson. Just wanted to note that the voter registration deadline is October 5th, so if anyone knows of people who are not registered but want to vote in this election, they need to be registered by October 5th, and people can certainly contact our office to get information about that. Yes, we have voter registration applications in the back of the room as well.
Yes, maybe you could announce a phone number so that the viewers out
Sure, absolutely. Anyone could contact the city main office at 301-891-7100, and they'll direct you to someone who can assist with voter registration. All right, let's see. Are there any other announcements that anyone would like to make before we close for the evening? Let's see, no announcements. There being no further business to come before the meeting, is there a motion to adjourn? Second? Okay, all in favor of adjourning? Okay. Thank you so much.